What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Wiregrass High School Football Report, brought to you by Digio Strategies. This is your weekly look at all things high school football in the Wiregrass. I am your host, Phillip Jordan, in-studio host and producer of Nothing Was Football on 96.9, The Legend. And on today's show, we're continuing marching ahead to the 2023 high school football season here in the Wiregrass and have another coach interview for you guys this week. I'll be joined by the new head coach over at Dale County, Evan Ballard. He took over the job back in February, so he will be joining me to talk about. We'll talk about that, the process, getting the job, what it means, the community there surrounding the Dale County Warriors, and also we talk about how the teams look through the summer, through the spring, playing a spring game against Cottonwood. And also get some thoughts on the offense, some quarterbacks. Looks like Dale County is going to be playing with two quarterbacks. He will talk about that and what he's seen from the defense. And also, of course, I like to ask the two questions, especially when a coach comes on for the first time. The term Friday Night Football. And also, I'll ask him, what does he like to do when he gets a chance to get away from football? It's a fun 20-minute conversation I had with Coach Ballard, so I think you guys will enjoy it. Before we jump into that interview, let you guys know you can find me and the podcast. You can find me on social media at PJordanSEC. The podcast is available on many platforms, of course, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please follow, rate, and review. If you leave a review, I will read it on a future edition of the show. You can check the show out over on my YouTube channel, Phillip Jordan Media YouTube page. Just check that out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for all notifications. And if you leave a comment on a Wiregrass High School Football Report episode, I read those too as well. And also you can check out the show over at Wiregrass Daily News. Go and look that up as well. And you can email me at sports.philipjordan@gmail.com. Now let's jump into my interview with Dale County head coach Evan Ballard. Everybody joining me this week on the Wiregrass High School Football Report. I am joined by the head coach over at Dale County, Evan Ballard. And Coach Ballard, I appreciate you coming on and on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me and reaching out, and I'm excited to talk about Dale County in the future.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that I have you on, and just we're sitting here in June. We're getting close to July. So how's the summer going with the team so far?
It's been going good. We've had really good attendance. We've got guys that are hungry to get better. We have a relatively young team, so we're just trying to work to get better every single day. Kind of create a new culture of coming to work each and every day. We talk about effort, attitude, and toughness. That's the big things that we want to bring into our program, and our guys have started to buy into it. But it's just an everyday process, just trying to get those guys to not be outcome based, but more focused on the process, because a lot of these guys we're going to have for 2-3 years within our program. And so I think that if they'll continue just to come to work every single day like they've done so far in the summer, that by the time they leave us, that we're going to be excited for what's in store in the future for sure.
That's got to be an exciting part about on the coaching side of things, especially when you say you have a young team. So you say 2 to 3 years down the road, you really can see where these players develop when they leave Dale County.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. I think right now we have 7 seniors, and 3 of those guys are going to be kind of projected starters for us. So I mean, you look at it. We've got a heavy upcoming sophomore and junior class, so. It's exciting to know that you kind of have the same team for 2-3 years, going forward with these guys. And they're good kids. I mean, that's the best thing too, is that, they're good football players, got a lot of potential, but the best thing about it is we have good kids, and that makes going to work every single day, very exciting. And, that's something that I look forward to, more than anything, is just to go invest in these young guys.
And I know I saw in the news you had some interesting early in the month U.S. Army recruiters visit with the Army Warriors Challenge. What was that like for your team?
Oh, that was really good. Seth Davis, who does it, he's actually a Dale County alumni. He had came back whenever I was an assistant. I think back in 2018. It's a great program. It was really good for our guys. One thing that we talked about, with the guys, and it's one thing that I've kind of been telling them is, the best teams are led by players, and that Army challenge, it requires some players to step up and lead. And I think that was something really good that we got out of it. You kind of saw some guys emerge as leaders, and, when things get tough, they were able to push through with their team. So that is a great program, and something that, any coaches that I talk to, they ask me about it. I mean, I strongly encourage people to do it, because it pushes the guys to their limits, but the big thing is it kind of lets them know that, hey, they can do a little bit more than what they think they can, especially whenever they're tired. But Sergeant Davis, he does a great job with that.
Yeah, I was watching the news story on WTVY, and I know he talked about a lot about teamwork. It was also something he helped with working together as one.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So they split them up into 4 groups, and to begin with, they've got different like ammo can challenge that you do, and then from there, there's a bunch of different kind of objects to carry, and we went on probably about a 1.5 2-mile little walk run throughout town. They kind of create different team aspects to it. Saying, hey, well, one person's kind of injured right here, so you got to pick them up, carry them. You really kind of got to work together of saying, okay, who's carrying what at this time? Really forces you to think whenever you're tired, whenever you get back to the school, you're not done from there. There's a couple little more obstacle course things they make them do. So, I mean, they do a great job, kind of creating some adversity, which, in a team sport, that's going to come, and how you overcome adversity. And they really kind of force players to step up and be the leaders, during that time. So it was really good for us.
So let's kind of go a little backwards a little bit, back to February. Just the process and just how it's been these few months here as being the head coach for Dale County.
Yeah, it's been different. Being from going from a coordinator to head coach. Just the everything else that comes into it, the administrative part of it, that comes with it has definitely been different. It's been different in a good way, but it definitely brings some, different challenges. But, back in February, I came back to Dale County this past fall. So I've been at Dale County 5 of the last 6 years. I went to Daleville for a year with Coach Will Garner. We actually coached together at Charles Henderson, whenever we first started coaching, volunteering, and then coached in middle school. And so came back to Dale County this past fall, was on staff and have a good relationship with Mr. Humphrey and the administration and kind of all the kids in the community. So it was a job that, I was very passionate about. I'm so excited that I was able to get it. My son's actually about to start pre-K at Midland City at the elementary school. This is a community and a place that me and my wife want to be involved in. And so to be able to get the job at a place that I feel so passionate about, I really feel like Dale County is my home. I know it's not where I grew up, but I really feel like that it's my home now. So to be able to get this job has been great. And, it's just been, kind of getting our kids to understand, our culture and what we want to do and kind of who we want to be. And that's just, hey, we're going to go to work every single day, not going to make excuses for who's on our schedule. And, we have a tough schedule, but it is what it is. We're going to go to work every single day. And that's kind of what our community embodies. And that's what I love about Dale County.
And a lot of times when there's a new coach at a school or a team, it's, someone he has to get acquainted with the players and the players him, but you don't have that here because you were there as office coordinator. You've been at Dale County 5 out of the last 6 years. So how big is that? Because it's kind of like, okay, we don't have to worry about that step of being here. Now we can just go to work.
Yeah, that's made it, that transition was really easy. I was in the weight room. I was our strength and conditioning coach this past year. Whenever I was here before, I was strength and conditioning coach. So, that aspect of whenever you're kind of talking about building your culture and culture a lot of times is built in the weight room. And so the expectations, taking over a new team, the guys, they know my expectations. So that transition has made it has made it a lot easier, than coming in from somewhere different. Because I have built strong relationships with these guys even before, so that transition's been great.
Going into the spring, you guys played my alma mater, the Cottonwood Bears, in that. But and I actually, when I was prepping for our conversation, it really got me thinking about something Auburn head coach Hugh Freeze talked about. Like he would prefer to play another school instead of doing a inter-squad scrimmage as they do in college. What's the big importance of that, of having a spring game like y'all did against another school or with other schools versus maybe doing an inter-squad scrimmage?
Well, I think that number one, it gives the kids kind of something to look forward to at the end of spring. You go out there and we did it over the period of 3 weeks, and we worked really hard. And I think just giving them that opportunity to go and compete against somebody else was very important. And it was important for us to go play somebody that we knew was going to be well coached. And me and Coach Harrison know each other very well. He was the defense coordinator at Dale County. The first year that I was offense coordinator, whenever Coach Moore got the job. So we're very familiar with one another, and just knowing that was going to be a well-coached football team that we were going to go play, a physical football team. Coach Harris has done a good job of, kind of creating a toughness over there. And so it was important for us and for me, taking over for us to go play a team like that. That was something that we really wanted to do, just to gauge ourselves and kind of see what we were at. It helps in the spring to, practice is great, and it's what I tell people all the time. And I probably love practice more than anybody, but there is no substitute for the game, and game experience, and see how those guys, respond without having a coach, right there behind them saying, hey, remember, you've got this gap here, whatever it may be. That was important for us to, let those guys, we kind of take the training wheels off and say, hey, now, you go and do it. We put in the work these 9 days during spring practice. And so it was good to just kind of get a gauge on, going into the summer, kind of who we thought could do what, and, what players kind of stepped up and emerged for us.
Yeah, coming out of the spring and coming out of that spring game, what did you learn most about your team?
Well, I think one thing that was huge for us in that spring game is we faced adversity. We got down. We trailed twice. And that was something that to be honest, I was glad. That was the best thing that happened to us, because, we needed to see that. We needed to see that, hey, guys, we can get down. We can face some tough situations and overcome it. Because I think, maybe in the past, we didn't always do that, and that's something that we've tried to really, press upon our team is, hey, you're never out of it. You just keep playing the next play. And so we got down. We kind of struggled early in the game offensively, which, is kind of normal a lot of times, especially with a new system and what we're doing offensively this year. It's going to be new. And so, we struggled, but we stayed the course. Defensively, we played really well. But, we had guys make plays and get us back in the game. And then kind of late in the game, we were able to put together a couple of drives to win by, I think it was 30-16 was the final. But, that was the biggest thing. The biggest thing was seeing us trail and seeing us respond. I was very pleased with that.
For people out there listening to this, how would you best describe, especially on the offensive side of the ball, your offensive philosophy?
Yeah, so we're going to be kind of I say kind of what everybody runs, the two-back power read, zone read type stuff. That's going to be a lot of what we do. We're a little bit, undersized up front, so we'll be a lot more gap scheme type stuff to get those guys, moving quick. And we do like offensive line, but I think it kind of helps a lot of times. You try to get that in our gap schemes, kind of getting that movement down the line. It's going to help us. And we are going to do, I think, something kind of unique. We're going to play 2 quarterbacks this year. We got 2 quarterbacks that we feel very highly about. Dallas Hedstrom, he was our starter last year. He's an upcoming junior. And then Junior Smith, he's a phenomenal athlete. So we're really going to kind of play him everywhere. We'll play him at quarterback, receiver. He's just great on the defense side for us too. But the way that we see it, if you got 2 good running backs, you find a way to get them both the football. We feel like we have two good quarterbacks, and so we're going to use both of their strengths, and just kind of within the flow of the game, will depend on who gets, majority of the snaps. But I'll tell you, those two guys have accepted their roles phenomenally so far. It's really helped us grow offensively right now because they don't care who's getting the reps back there, just as long as we're doing what we're supposed to do, moving the football. That's all they care about.
And obviously, you have that situation. You have two quarterbacks like you guys have. Is one thing that you can really throw a defense off because you get used to one guy, then somebody else comes in, throws you off, does a little something different. So it's got to be a great asset to have too, on the offense side of the ball when you have that ability.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and that's the thing. We're going to be able to not just change them between series, but I mean, it can be within the series. We can just make a simple little switch call and change those two because Dallas is a good enough athlete to go out there and play receiver as well. But they both bring different skill sets, and so it does make it tough. Junior throws it well, but he's really tough to bring down. I mean, he's about 6'5", 195, close to 200 pounds. So he's a load to try to bring down and tackle. And then, Dallas, he's steady. I mean, he's accurate with the football, always going to put you in the right spots, make the right reads. And so, having that change up and not knowing what play it might be whenever we change it up, I mean, I think it's definitely going to make it challenging for our opponent.
And you allude to it when you're talking about spring game, but on the defensive side of the ball, how are you guys looking over there? What have you been liking out of your defense?
Well, we're playing fast. I mean, that's the biggest thing. We've tried to simplify scheme, as best as possible, just to allow our guys to be able to play fast. And that's really, on that side of the ball, that's what we're trying to emphasize is we don't want to overcomplicate things where we can't get lined up. We think, hey, if we can get lined up and get in the right spot, then it goes back to, what we really preach, and that's the effort, attitude, and toughness part of it. Running into the football and being great tackles. That's what you got to do. If you want to be a great defense, you got to have all 11 guys be willing tacklers. And right now defensively, we've been able to have that. We've kind of challenged our DBs. We're going to play a lot of man coverage, and they did a really good job in the spring being physical on the perimeter as well. So. I've liked so far what we've seen out of our defense. We got to continue to build off what we did in the spring game.
All right, just a couple more questions, and I'll let you go on this Sunday afternoon. And I told you before I hit record that there's two questions I like to ask coaches. That is kind of a fun question as I close out the conversation. The first one, just when you think Friday Night Football, when you hear that term, that phrase, what comes to mind for you?
Well, I mean, for me, it's just I think back whenever I played and just the memories that were made just with my teammates, and knowing that these guys now are, getting to do the same thing. We actually talked about that, and at the end of one of our summer workouts the other day is, you're not going to remember every single practice. You're not going to remember, every single play on a Friday night, but you are going to remember, just all that you went through, and what that made you feel like, and just what it made you feel like going to battle with your teammates and guys that you just put in so much time with. I think that's something that, is special and makes football, unique. I mean, you practice, 4 or 5 times as amount as you play. And so Friday Night Lights are special, and especially in communities like we have, that come out and support. I mean, it's just a great feeling.
All right. The second one is when you get a chance to, when you're away from football, what are some things you enjoy doing?
When I can, I'm not very good at it. I've taken it up here recently, but I like to go golf when I can. And we've got me and my wife have 2 little ones at home. And we got a 4-year-old son and a 2-year-old little girl, and so love whenever I can kind of get away and turn football off, which is hard to do even when you're at home sometimes. But, definitely being mindful of that, or just, whether it's going to the park or to the pool that we got here in our neighborhood, just spending time with them, because they don't care whether you won, lost, how practice went. They're just excited to see Daddy when he gets home, and so that's great. And so I would say those two things are definitely the two outside of football that I enjoy the most.
That's awesome. And finally, we talked a lot about your team, but the community. There you're at with Dale County, just, the fan base, the student body, everything, the team. Just, is there anything I didn't ask that you would like to talk about?
Well, our community is full of just great people, and it's just what I think has drawn me to Dale County to, like I talked about before, kind of consider this my home and somewhere I want to be for a very long time, and send our kids. Just, it's just a kind of blue collar, roll our sleeves up, go to work type community, and that's the type of football team that we want to embrace. We want to just kind of embrace that work ethic that our community brings. There's good people. The school itself is great administration. It's a great school system, and the kids are great. Like I mentioned before, I mean, I go to work and I love coaching football, but I also love my classes. I do strength conditioning for all the athletes, and we have great kids that want to get coached, that want to do things the right way. They come from good homes, and so it makes going to work very easy every single day. And it's a great place to work and a great place to live.
That's awesome. And that's one of the things I love about doing this podcast is hearing that about all the communities, because I think the Wiregrass has a lot of great communities, and I know where you're at. That's one of the top ones in the area. And Coach, I appreciate the time. I told you 15. I've almost kept you for 20 minutes, but I do. I do appreciate you coming on the show. I'll be keeping up with you guys, of course, because I do the keep up with all the scores at halftime during the Dothan Wolves games on 96.9 Legend. But good luck this season, Coach, and I hope we can chat some during the season.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate what you're doing for the Wiregrass, and really trying to promote high school sports and football in general. And I do appreciate that.
All right, absolutely, Coach. Again, Coach, I appreciate the time. I look forward to talking again sometime down the road.
All right. Thank you, man.
All right. Once again, thanks to Coach Ballard for coming on this week's edition of the Wiregrass High School Football Report. All the luck to Dale County this coming season. I look forward to talking to Coach Ballard during the season as well. Now, so there wasn't a show last week because it was Father's Day. So you're like, okay, we got through that. So now there's going to be a show every week. Sorry, there will not be one next week just because we'll be going into the 4th of July weekend. So there will not be a show next week either, but after that, be back. And once we hit in July, we should be week by week, weekly here on the show through the state championship games. So that's kind of what you can look forward to in the future here on the show. Remember, you can follow me on social media at PJordanSEC. The podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please follow, rate, and review. Leave a review. I will read it on a future edition of the show. You can also check out the show over on my YouTube page, the Phillip Jordan Media YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for all notifications, and leave a comment on the video, and I'll read that as well. You can also check out the show, and please do go over to Wiregrass Daily News. Check that out. A lot of good stuff. Keep you up to date what's going on in the Wiregrass, and we have a sports page over there as well. It will be there. It will be on the podcast tab, or you can go to the sports tab on Wiregrass Daily News to check out this episode, future episodes, and previous episodes as well. And you guys know, if you have a topic or a question or anything like that, you can always email me at sportstalkphillipjordan@gmail.com. Anyways, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the show. Be back in 2 weeks because, like I said, we're not doing one next week going into the 4th of July weekend. Hope everybody has a great week, and until next time, bye-bye.